It was kind of funny.
I never heard of that.
Like a dark timeline taco Jesus. Welcome to Van Brain. It's a perfect example of the kind of shenanigans.
Great.
Yeah, how you guys feeling today?
Feeling pretty good.
I'm feeling good.
It's a beautiful morning. Usually we do these Tuesday pods, and today we're doing fucking...
The fry pod.
A fry pod.
That does sound better than a fucking two-pod.
A two-pod.
Well, you were down in at the aquarium, right?
Yeah, it was.
Was that your first time there, or?
Since I was a young lad. Yeah, so kind of.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
it felt that way.
Yeah.
But there was the sense of, wow, this did feel a lot bigger when I was young.
Oh, yeah.
Like the classic
feeling.
feeling.
Because you're bigger.
Yeah, all the rooms are smaller. Yeah. Crazy experience. Yeah, I told you guys already. I feel like I have to tell everyone else about those kids.
Yeah, dude.
Those kids.
That is a story.
There was these kids. There was like 6 kids, just like running around being kids, like messing with people, kinda yelling, I guess, and
out front of the
out front of where we stayed.
Oh, I see.
And like of the hotel and where we stayed, it was like there was the hotel and then there was like the whole block, and there was no establishments on that block. It was just like, you know, like wooded, like windows or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Wooded windows.
Yeah, wooded windows, and we were just sitting in the car, and then they just like kind of just rolled up on us, and they were asking us if we had weed.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and like they were like like making like joint fingers in their mouth, and then one of them literally pointed at me and said, "Oh, he's scared." Because I was like looking, I wasn't scared, but I was looking back at them like, what are they about to do?
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, they all just started beating on my vehicle, and like trying to I locked the doors in the midst of this, and I just threw the car in reverse and started backing up as they were beating on the car.
Jesus.
And then I swear to God, this like 6-year-old kid was like on the left front fender basically, and like fell off the vehicle, and I almost ran him over. Luckily, I hit my brakes. And he got up and ran, and then I sped away.
Damn.
It was crazy.
Ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Those Baltimore kids.
Yeah.
Causing
So that was the story. Other than that, I mean, it was pretty chilling. But that's like the main takeaway. I mean, it really took the whole cake.
Were you thinking while that was happening, like, this is going to be a good story for the pod?
No, I wasn't. I didn't even think about telling it until I was right here, right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this feels like a long story. But it's not, because we're here for like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it really was like a minute, though.
Yeah, exactly.
There's these kids.
It was crazy.
No
It literally felt like it was in a movie. Like I was in a movie.
Yeah, that's wild. That's
Like-
like some zombie apocalypse shit.
Exactly. I was like, what? Yeah.
You don't have that.
And last time we were there, Danica got robbed. She lost her, like somebody stole her
Fuck.
wallet. Yeah. So 2 times in Baltimore we went.
Was that when we played the 8x10? Or was that after?
No, different times. We just went down.
Oh my
I don't
god.
know if we're going back, dude.
Dude, in our experience, there was not so great.
Exactly. Even when we played.
Oh man.
It's like, damn, Baltimore. The only thing I like about it is, well, Mojo Bozo, but they're not. Yeah, I mean, Mojo's from Baltimore, right?
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I like Mojo Bozo.
The buildings look nice.
I had a great,
Yeah.
I had
The
a great
buildings look
time.
nice.
I saw Paul McCartney there in the summer, and me and Chris went down and stayed with his cousin, and we just took like so much acid, and it sounded like a great idea. We'd get there early, take acid,
Yeah.
we'll wander around the aquarium, tripping balls. Chris Mauger and his fucking joints, like stores, like he MacGyvered everywhere so we could like have road joints.
I
you
did
know?
think about you guys there on acid while we were there.
Yeah, you're like
There's the
"God
bubble
damn."
room and shit.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can imagine it.
Yeah. No, it was a great idea. And then, because we're walking around, and Chris has this history. My roommate Chris, for everybody listening and watching, and he goes back. We'll have to have him on at some point because he was
like
original
OG street team guy.
Street team guy,
Yep.
definitely a super good connection there. OG Medusa head for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so crazy how like we actually really got like involved with him. He we played a show he was at, and then he wanted to come back.
Smoke weed with you.
Well, yeah, to a party that Mandy's brother, my brother-in-law, was holding, and he's kind of dumb a little bit because like he definitely was having issues with like neighbors and noise complaints, and Chris was wasted. So like, and there was like 12 people there. Like, it's not going to be quiet.
Well, he's a loud guy to begin
And he's
with.
exactly. So he's standing there, and everybody's decently, you know, they're not screaming or anything, but he's it's like, you know, chrising it up, and
Dude.
he was really pissing my brother-in-law off, and so
Just again and again and again.
He's like, bro, man, you gotta shut this guy up. Like, fuck.
Dude, it was brutal. I remember that.
And I remember I had a hacky sack, and we went into my brother-in-law's basement. I was like, come on, Chris, like, let's go smoke some weed in the basement. And he had like a bunch of weed, and so we sat down in the basement, played hacky sack, and smoked weed and chatted. And I got him away from being super loud, made my brother-in-law happy.
Yeah.
And then I know that for me, I was like, this guy's cool.
Yeah.
I like him. And then he would just come to shows with weed and smoke us up.
It's true.
When we had him, a cool Chris story. When we had him, he'll probably tell it when he gets on, but I'm going to tell it anyway. But we had him over one time. I ran into him when we were doing a recording session. I don't know if you guys remember that. I brought him along. And Darian, it was when Darian came and did background vocals.
Oh,
to,
yeah. You mean up in the Chameleon Club?
Up in the Chameleon Club.
Yeah, I
when
do remember
I had
that.
my when we were recording Orphic Romar up there. So I brought him with because I knew he would want to smoke us up. I'm like, all right, yeah, come along, fucking pack a couple bowls, bitch.
Yeah.
So I remember him. We were recording shit, and he was like, he's like, bro, that there's that like click, 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 click. That's not like. What are you guys thinking? Like, that doesn't sound good. That's why would you have that in there? And I had to explain to him that it was a metronome.
Yeah.
And then just so we could keep the time. He's
so
like,
funny.
oh, well, I was gonna say because that didn't sound good at all. I was like, what are they doing?
Oh, classic
That's a pretty good
Chris.
impression.
That is a very good impression.
Oh yeah, bro. I do a fucking stick impression. No, he's a good guy. But we were down in Baltimore, bro, and man, the things you pick up from like hanging out with people.
It's so true.
Bro is definitely one from hanging out with Chris.
He has a big bro too. Bro.
Bro ham sandwich.
Yeah.
He says that.
Bro, hips.
Bro, I like to say bro Cephas. But yeah, man, down in Baltimore, tripping balls and wandering around. And Chris's parents are like boat people, so he spent like a lot of time in Baltimore as a kid, like on the docks, and like he knows all the streets and everything.
Nice.
So he's like telling me all these stories, and he knows the spots to go smoke these joints we got.
Nice.
So we're killing time walking around. We did end up going actually to eat at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant.
Nice.
At the casino, tripping balls, and Chris just orders like a $90 piece of meat. And that's it, like water and meat. He's just like, I got the beef Wellington, and it was amazing. But we did that, and then we went into the baseball field there, and saw like a 3-hour rock show in the middle of summer with fireworks and shit. It was fucking great.
That sounds
That
awesome.
sounds fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Tripping in public.
Well, you guys don't trip like I trip, though.
Yeah, you do it a
Nah.
whole nother way.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a long time.
It's true. You definitely take it more casually than we do.
Oh yeah, I did
Well,
it a couple times, and then I was like, a lot of times.
Yeah. You did it for a lot of time. It's a lot of times in a short span of time.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh wait, I really liked this, but I'm good.
I try not to take it just to get fucked up. I feel like I if I'm not in the right mental state, but if I use it right, I get a lot out of it, you know? I
Yeah.
feel like deeply connected to things, and like really like music, and just, you know, it helps me work through like anything I'm going through, unties that like knot or whatever. It's therapeutic.
Definitely.
So I try to use it like for that, and obviously, you know, you have fun and you're fucked up, but
Yeah.
it's definitely anything where you're just doing it for those motives. It's like, I don't know. That's why I don't drink that much. It's
Right.
like you're not getting, like, what are you gonna get out of that other than getting real fucked up?
That one's pretty fleeting, pretty fast too.
Cigarettes too. I'm like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Though I will hate your vape though.
I haven't taken acid in probably like 6 years.
I've never tripped with either of you,
5.
No.
which blows my mind.
No, we haven't tripped.
I've taken sheets since I've known you.
But yeah, we've tripped together
Twice.
twice.
Well, not if you. Well, acid. We
What-
did the
what would it take?
shrooms.
What would
I
it-
was talking about shrooms too.
What would it take to trip?
Setting allotted time.
Setting and music.
setting in a lot of time.
Yeah. What we used to do,
And also my mental state at the time.
Well, yeah.
Like I'm not gonna. I don't want to break my brain because I got shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes that's what exactly what happens.
Yeah, it's true.
But what we used to do, right? It's called Wizards. It's a game you can only play when you're tripping. I guess you can play when you're smoking weed though too. But essentially, it's something we used to do all the time, and I don't do at all anymore. Which is you just sit around and play sides of albums, and like you get a side that's a 20-minute period of time. You're gonna listen to whatever the fuck I want to play right now, and then you're gonna cast a spell on me, and you're the wizard, and you put on whatever you want. So no matter what anybody wanted to listen to, if it was something you weren't into, you would just like you'd be tripping, and you'd just sit there and go on the ride, and then you knowing that you're whatever the fuck you want to listen to next is going to happen, and they're going to have to listen to it too. Gotcha. And we would just sit there and not even talk, just like listen to music like together, like somebody would watch a movie, and just not talk. And that's something that Chris doesn't like music really that much. Yeah. So I miss doing that, like just sitting and listening to music. Yeah. The closest we get to that is in the van. Right. When there's long drives, we've already talked for 2 hours. Yeah. Let's put some music on. I'll listen to it.
Yeah. But that is a nice space for that.
But that's what I would want to do if we were tripping, is because I would want to play on the come up, but when I'm tripping like hard, I would want to listen to music. Fair. Or like be outside. I always get the push to be outside too.
Yeah. The only time we did it, we were in and out playing music
the whole time.
Yeah, we would just go in and jam something for who knows even how long, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, some usually somewhere around 10, 20 minutes.
Some amount of time that doesn't feel like that amount of time. And then we would go back out like almost exhausted.
Yep. Drink water.
Sweating profusely.
Smoke cigarettes.
Yep. Smoke and then go back in.
Because you were still smoking at that time, weren't you? Yeah, so we'd all go out and smoke cigarettes except for Winton. Yeah. And Tyler.
Yeah.
But
that was fun.
So you would all go, maybe just you two?
Well, no, everyone would go out because we all were tired.
There was some other people there too. It wasn't just the band.
Well, it was
just funny how you said that. Everybody, Mandy, well, except for half the people.
Sam, Mandy, and there was somebody else, right?
Everybody was tripping and watching you guys?
No, I think it was just Sam and Mandy.
Justin
Green. Justin Green.
Yeah. Would everybody tripping watching you guys?
I think everyone was tripping except Sam.
And Mandy. Mandy wasn't tripping.
Girls weren't tripping. Yeah.
I'm always skeptical of playing tripping now.
It's fun.
Oh, it's fun, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's fun, but it's never
productive.
I don't feel like you can get as locked in, like personally, having done it a bunch. For me, like the weed.
We had gotten locked in. We had gotten locked in at some points. We had some legitimate ideas.
We had some really good stuff, actually.
Yeah, it was cool.
I mean, it would be hard for me to gamble against us coming up with something cool.
Yeah. Well, we probably just haven't done it enough. Well, like you in playing, especially with like us, I feel like it would be like probably a lot different for you. I mean, you've expressed how nice it is playing with us compared to.
Oh yeah, well, just
because we gel.
Well, that's true.
You know what I mean?
True. There's automatically that.
Just automatic gel, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't deny that, dude.
Automatic gel. That's a good. Add that to the list.
Automatic gel. I remember every time we stopped playing, though, having this very specific feeling like I had like pressure going outward.
Oh yeah.
I just felt like I was full of energy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to go play drums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or this energy is gonna make me explode.
And then he would go sit on the kit and go like on the ride. Yeah. And then Tyler was so interested in what Alex did all the time that he was like, I'll never forget it. Nobody can see me do this, but it's like Alex's ride is right there, and he's trying to follow him. He's going. I'm not even kidding.
I can see it.
That close.
I can see it.
Trying to follow it because he was so mesmerized by Alex's just like sheer amount of notes and rhythmic expression. It was so cool.
I did find like there was definitive physical limits that I really didn't need to adhere to as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was just like, wow, man. This would normally hurt so bad. Yeah. Holy shit, I'd be tired by now, but exactly. I'm just because I'm on acid.
Yeah, it was nuts.
But you guys recorded that, right?
Yeah, Foothill Sessions.
So did you find though when you listened back to it, it wasn't quite as good?
There was there was a lot of stuff that was actually I look back and can say like, damn, I don't even know if I could play that now.
That's funny.
But
I always feel biased like that because I've done a lot of. When I lived in New York, we have access to this jazz studio. Had tape recordings, but it would record everything live in the room.
So dope.
A bunch of mics, but these cassettes. So I have tons of cassettes of me and Brady and some of the other guys jamming on acid, and like it was like that's an album now.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
you'd like view it that way.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's like probably it's not that good, but I listen to it and it's like there's things about it I'm like that was cool. Like that's a
Yeah, it's definitely in there.
yeah.
well, wasn't Call to the Void Foothill Sessions?
No.
No, okay.
Yeah, that was separate.
Call to the Void was a jam we did.
Oh yeah, that was a jam with us four.
And I think actually, to be fair, Call to the Void, the idea of the Call to the Void was something that Winton was talking about. And then we were jamming, and the riff was the riff I started playing, and then you started playing the other thing and had the lyrics.
I wrote the lyrics at home then after that.
Yeah.
And then Winton had also written something too, but we didn't go with it.
No, we
remember
didn't.
that?
Yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't end up going with that.
Yeah, and then what was I gonna say about that? Shit. Sorry, I lost it. Go ahead.
No, that jam, it was pretty good. I mean, that's kind of how it works sometimes. You know, you have a jam and go back to it and cherry pick the cool bits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We actually had. There was I think there was two main ideas that we had. It was like the chopped liver one. That was a long jam.
That's one that might see the light of day.
Yeah, that might see. Mm-hmm. And then there was that one that I think sounded like too much like the Billy Squier song. What song is that?
Lonely is the Night.
No, it's
The Stroke?
Yeah, The Stroke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I walk the dog. You walk the dog.
Yeah.
And then you let it bite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Winton
It's
got
just like-
bit
Oh, yeah.
by a dog.
By a dog.
Or no, chased by a
Oh,
dog.
it's Everybody Wants You.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Everybody wants to. It was just like, it was damn near the same riff. And I'm like, I can't do it.
That's also another song I can't quite think of right now, but
That's fair.
it's definitely,
Yeah.
that's a riff.
Yeah.
That exists.
It's so funny.
Do you ever think about that when you write a riff? You're like, like when you write a really good riff, right? Sometimes you think that can't be.
Yeah.
It's got to be something else.
I used to struggle with that more when I was younger, and now I don't second guess it.
It doesn't
as
matter as much.
Yeah, you don't. You
because
realize
even if it is, you're adding what you add. To
yeah,
it.
by the time you add another part or like your voice or your lyrics,
Yeah.
it's gonna be way different.
Well, we've only ever had to change one song because of that,
Yeah,
and that was My Dear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If you go listen to it, you can tell it sounds like Pink Panther.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 Well, what about that?
Pretty straightforward. Yeah.
What about that song?
Oh,
that,
and,
the Dominoes one. Oh man.
Oh yeah, Dominoes.
Dominoes.
Dude, that hurt me a little bit when I found out about
That Wand song, I forget which one it is.
The Wand.
That's the
Wand.
the OG.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wand.
So my beef with that. Obviously, when I joined the project, I had no say over anything at that point.
You'd like Wand.
No, I've heard the song.
Yeah, actually, would like Wand.
You
I've
would
heard
like
the song.
Wand.
It's true.
There's nothing bad about it, except for that Domino sounds exactly like.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah.
No, it's true.
So I just feel like, did you guys know that?
No.
Nah.
See, that's bullshit.
We found out from Tiffany.
Oh my god.
I like Wand, but I don't listen to him that much.
No,
Yeah.
I mean it's not about that. It's about like, let's say I listen to some really obscure song and then come to you guys and pitch it to you like it's my idea, and then
Yeah.
we record it that way.
It's wild.
That is kind of like.
I don't think he knew either, though.
You don't think he was aware of it by then?
Nah.
Oh, you think that? I always just assumed that it.
I mean, to be honest, there's no way we could ever know.
No, but I don't think.
It's pretty fucking close.
You know,
though.
and then I want to say,
'Cause
and this is like me showing a little bit of how I feel,
Bias.
but I used to say that all the time, like to give the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And I did that way too much, and I literally learned that I was like, wow, I was wrong about that, you know?
Well, no, so
most times.
Well,
people-
That's why I get reserved in
People
that
show
area.
you who they are, so you can bank on that.
Right.
You know? The
Well,
benefit of that doubt.
for me, when I
Yeah.
think about it, though, I don't really think he thought about it like.
You don't think he listened to that riff and was like, "That's sick," and played it and was like,
Maybe like that's an old song, maybe like when it had came out, sure, but like when Dominoes had come out or when he started doing Dominoes, I think that he was just like doing
Accidental.
whatever and
Accidental.
then made it happen and then didn't even make the connection.
Yeah.
I do think though that if he did make the connection, he wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
that's also.
That's why we can't tell.
So,
But
we don't know.
Exactly.
My,
It's all speculation.
My mental speculation is that he definitely knew.
Yeah.
So Alex is the benefit of the doubt.
I'm the same way.
We don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, I used to struggle with that a lot when I was a kid. And then the other one that we had in the band was Cellophane Snake.
Oh yeah.
And I knew deliberately. I said, "Hey, that's a Doors riff."
Love Me Two Times.
Yeah, I was like, "That's a Doors riff. We can't do that." And Winton was like, "Nah, we can do that."
Did you not know that?
So we did it.
It's like. Love it 2 times, girl. Yeah, it's pretty.
It's.
Yeah.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Play it.
Now that I know.
Yeah, I'll play it.
Just a little bit of it for Alex.
So yeah, this is.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I'll explain it because this is
But
one
I
of
don't care. I didn't care.
It's one of the first collaborations me and Winton did, and it was literally I had a verse riff and a chorus riff, which was the.
That was you.
Yeah. And then he put words over top of it.
Yeah.
And he kind of wrote the chorus technically, but I had the music for it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it because I was like, bah.
So you wrote this something about the way the moon.
Yeah.
And he wrote the it's over.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's cool actually.
Yeah, it was the first collaboration in my grandma's, like in my room in my grandma's. So I had to have been like 17,
That's dope.
18 at that time.
I always loved playing that song.
And he convinced me that it was cool, and I was like, sure, man. Like, so I relaxed.
That sounds a lot.
It's so funny.
He convinced me it was cool, and I was like, all right, man.
Literally, that's what happened. Straight up.
If it makes you feel any better, the reason why I wanted to, because I remember I pushed for that song super hard, is one of the reasons why
I do like the song.
it became
it's a good song.
It became that way, and a lot of it was because I was listening to like an iPod at work when I worked at Souders. So I was like listening to music for like 4 or 5 hours straight, and I would like put that song on and listen to it on repeat. That demo you guys had of just you two.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, dude, this is so good. Like when they're
That's so
doing
funny.
the double thing and he's doing They Told Me and you're doing the something about the way. Like that together, listening to that in that demo, I was just like, this has to be a song.
Right,
Like we have
exactly.
to do this. This is so good.
That's why it wasn't bad.
We could do something like that.
Yeah.
Again.
But I didn't know. I didn't know it sounded like another song.
No, it's true. In a lot of ways, it was beneficial.
Did you cue that up instead of the Doors one?
No, it's right here.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I was talking about the Doors song for Alex. He knows what that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Medusa song for the listeners.
No. I'll just play that on the intro or the outro.
Yeah, okay, right on.
Hey.
Alex, you don't know "Love Me 2 Times"?
No, that's what I'm saying. He has no idea.
I'm not a huge Doors fan.
You don't have to be a huge Doors fan to know "Love Me 2 Times," bro.
That's fair.
But sometimes that happens where people just have blind spots.
It's so true. Like this song's.
I try not to.
This song's played a lot.
I was like, I don't want that. I want to.
I remember being
know it
like
all.
13 and hearing it at like the Mannheim pool when I used to go to the pool a lot.
That's sick.
I might have been even younger.
I mean, there's a chance I know it and just don't know it by name.
Oh yeah, bro.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really
I
I love the Doors. The Doors might be like my favorite band of all time.
Really?
Yeah. Like I want to say it's like Led Zeppelin. I grew up like Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones, the Doors. But I think the Doors might take the cake for me. Just because it's so different.
It's funny. The Doors were the band that Betsy, my ex-wife, liked that I didn't.
Yeah.
And I liked the Beatles and she didn't.
Yeah.
And by the end, by the time we got divorced, we both liked both bands.
Yeah. I need to get more into the Beatles. And I know that's going to happen for me at some point.
Yeah.
As a songwriter.
You should need to listen to the White Album.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
You're like, I'm serious.
Yeah.
No, fucking Jay always told me to listen to Revolver.
Revolver is the one too.
Yeah, he said that's the one that'll get you or something.
I
and
think-
I do like some of the sitar stuff. I did like Tomorrow Never Knows, right? Is that the song name?
That's
Yeah, and what's the other one that's sitar?
There's Within You Without You.
Within You Without You. Yes. I
those
like
are both from Revolver.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right on. What else is on there? What else is on there?
Which is the one that...
Taxman.
Yeah, Taxman's great.
Eleanor Rigby.
Taxman has one of the like that tone on that guitar.
So good.
Stupendous.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So that... I'm pretty sure isn't the... You have the Bean movie up there.
Yeah.
And there's like a part in the movie where... fucking David's wife leaves him. And he's like... They're like drunk walking home.
Yeah.
And aren't they singing fucking Beatles song?
I don't remember.
Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be.
Yeah, that's,
What song's that?
Yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know that one that well.
When I think of that song, I just hear the bean.
Yeah, that's funny.
Sully. The drunk like.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think how many songs the Beatles have that are just like,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, just like, how do I say it? They have like their own signature. They're just like staple songs in a way.
Yeah.
Or like how many songs I didn't like. I heard so much Beatles growing up, and I'd never even listened to them.
You didn't realize. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like a band I never listened to, like I did the Doors, but yet you say something like Yesterday, and I can picture like the first 3 lines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's so.
What did they say? It's like almost a household name. It was at one point.
It's literally.
And it lingers there in a way.
It's literally like soaked. Like every
exactly.
part of the culture since that point.
Exactly.
Has some of it in there.
It's so crazy.
Even the parts of it that are specifically trying to be against it are still talking about it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, its influence is insane. Hard to
No,
fathom.
I mean, the thing about that is whether you like the music or not, what they were able to do was like kind of crazy. Like it shouldn't have technically happened. And if it would have happened with different people, it wouldn't have had the impact, you know? And just the way that, like if you really study 50s music and then like what music was like at the end of the 60s, like from the end of the 50s to the end of the 60s, what music had done.
Yeah.
And like they're like right there. And it's like not that they like were the first to do any of these things, but they did it the best and popularized it. So they popularized like all these things and made these like, so it's almost like think about the 90s and you have like grunge.
Absolutely.
And hip hop, like hip hop was coming into its own, and dance music and boy bands. And imagine if every single time something like that happened, there was one band there that did everything that was going on and way better than everyone else.
Right.
So that's kind of what was going on. Like psychedelic music happened. They weren't the first to do it. But when they did it, it was like the most, like everybody accepted it as being like
the antithesis of it.
It's now pop
best.
music. It's not outsider music. It's now mainstream.
Right.
So, and the necessity for like, we need better technology in the studio because now with this music business is, $1 billion a year business that it was not. And that all that has to do also with that generation of people, kids having expendable money. And their parents were like World War II veterans, you know?
Right.
So all of a sudden you had kids with disposable cash, pent up angst, and then a bunch of people could afford guitars.
Yeah.
Boom.
I do remember seeing a video about that little boom where people where youngsters were buying records at that time. And how it just kind of, the music industry was just booming, happening and booming, and coming into being. Yeah, exactly.
And then they had to figure out too, how to do it on stage because they did. Actually, the guy who Amy was talking to, the Banner Records guy, he set up the Shea Stadium famous Beatles. It was the biggest concert in the world at that time, and it was so bad people couldn't hear it because there was like the delayed radio speakers.
Right.
Is retarded. Like the fucking technology did not exist. They had to like be like, oh wow, this it just now you have things like Tate Towers and everything else where that's its own industry now and lighting and man, so it's just
the production.
You can trace it all back to like, well, beyond the Beatles to like Elvis and shit, but
right,
man,
when it got big. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about that. And how like the band format is so new, moving the drums to a kit.
Yeah, because you couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear it.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah,
which that wasn't that long ago.
No, I think it was like the late, teens. Early 20s.
Stuart Copeland does a thing about that. The drummer for the Police.
Yeah.
About tracing the drums back.
Right,
It's like
right.
the New Orleans marching band.
Right.
And they know the first guy that made the kick pedal.
That's so cool.
And like how that revolutionized that. You have to have two people. It could be
Right.
one guy doing it.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Well,
important.
I'm pretty sure too when it first came out, it was called the contraption,
Yes.
and that is why people will
trap.
call it a trap set.
Right.
Because it was originally called the
I
contraption.
remember you saying that. That's good. That's a good
Also,
little factoid.
Les Paul.
Right.
The guy inventing the electric guitar.
Right.
I mean, can you think about
Insanity.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the most insane thing is that the same guy invented
Multi-tracking.
and reverb.
That's and reverb.
I mean, what?
The most essential thing to the art these days.
Everything that
Damn
we
near.
do, you couldn't. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's like it's weird that that guy lived in our timeline. Like,
And I love that he
lifetime.
he's also he's a brilliant player too. I love that he's not just good at, he didn't just build it, he was like, he knew it through and through.
Well, in some of those
Incredible.
early recordings of the multi-tracking that he was pioneering, that he was doing advanced techniques like tape manipulation of speed to like get super fast like
Right.
harmonies, where he would be slowing down the tape and playing it, and when you speed it back up, it's fast.
That's
you
so
know?
nuts.
So he was not only inventing it, but like and pioneering it, but like really pushing it. You
That's
know?
so awesome.
And like him and his wife would utilize different rooms of the house for the different tones.
Wasn't it you who showed us on the road like a song that him and his wife made, and
Yeah.
his wife was
Yeah.
like singing harmonies over a recording of her own voice?
Absolutely.
Like-
And that she was
First
like
ever dubs,
the first people to
Yeah.
ever do that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's Les Paul. I mean,
That recording, the fact that that's right there is so awesome too. To hear that nowadays, it doesn't sound too bad.
no.
You know,
No, it didn't.
it holds up, especially because the playing, like their abilities they're good.
But here's
Music is music,
crazy thing.
you know?
Here's the
Killing
crazy
it
thing
on that
is,
track.
though, the craziest thing though is
Go look
that
it up. I forget what it's called.
Well, that's Tiger Rag by
Yeah.
Les Paul.
Yeah,
and,
listen to that shit.
And Mary Ford.
Yes.
From the 40s. But the
Very
crazy thing that's even nuts is that technology was not utilized really until the 70s. Like yeah, it was available,
Right.
but all the records from the 50s were all live, and maybe they would overdub like one, like the vocal. It was like two things or three or four,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like Les Paul stacking and making multiple bounces and like, it's fucking wild what he
Yeah.
was doing.
It's awesome.
So even like it took to the mid '60s for the Beatles to really like, they were the first people to embrace the studio like with that. Well, Brian Wilson too, but that's another story.
I was gonna say, I keep thinking about it. Have you ever seen the video of Frank Zappa explaining, like, the hipster getting into the big cheese position,
No.
where he's talking about the music industry,
Yeah.
and like how in the beginning,
Oh,
like
yeah,
there's like rich dudes smoking cigars basically.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's
with,
cool.
with all the money, he doesn't
Yeah.
know what's cool, and like this thing.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, this thing pops up. And it's a band, and he gives it a shot, and it pops off, and then some hipster comes in after a while and says,
I know it's cool.
I know it's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know it's cool. And then next thing you know, he's the one calling the shots, and Big Cheese is still there, but he's not the one making decisions.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden they're not giving the people a shot again.
Exactly.
'Cause instead of, well, I don't know, let's try it out, it's, I know it's cool.
Exactly. It's the switch in mind, the 180 mindset between the Big Cheese, which you would almost think it would have been the opposite. Like any hipster would think that they'd be the open-minded one,
Well,
yeah.
It doesn't really play out that way in most situations.
It's because it's the businessman who's saying, let's give things a shot, is where it makes business sense, and
Yeah.
the person who's in the know just thinks they know everything.
Well, you got to empty your bucket, man.
Yeah.
There's like a movie called The Forgotten Kingdom, I think. It's like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, but this kid, he's like obsessed with fighting games, and then he gets pulled into like a kung fu like romanticized kung fu world, and Jackie Chan's trying to like teach him, and he keeps referencing the fighting games that he was playing, and Jackie Chan's like, how are you going to learn how to do actual martial arts when your head's filled with this fake shit that you played in a video game?
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to empty your bucket. Like, your bucket's full. I can't put any water in there.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
full. And the thing is, those hipsters, their bucket's full.
Yeah.
They're like, they don't really even know what's cool, because at this point in time, they're all out of.
Well, whenever you think you know, and then you shut things out.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's why you need to listen to the Beatles.
I knew you were going to say that.
My point.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but that was how they got me to listen to the Beatles. Because I was a punk rocker. I thought anything.
Yeah, have you explained that yet? Because
I don't know. That is weird though.
That's an interesting, because I think that's a pretty. Well, I was talking about that before we started.
Oh yeah.
Your music listening experience and your philosophy hinges off of that openness that you had. And like, I forget how old you were. You said it was later in your in the 20s.
Yeah, it was basically when I was a kid, my dad would play what he played in the radio, and me and my cousins, we were at the time of Nirvana, Soundgarden,
right.
STP. So all that stuff happened in the early '90s, and we were listening to. We loved that stuff. It's what got us to play guitars, alternative rock, and then my dad was like, "That shit's bullshit. I don't like that shit," and he would be playing like Elvis Costello and 70s stuff and stuff that I love now, but I was exposed to it. And my mom didn't listen to anything except for the radio and like classic rock, Judas Priest, stuff like that, Pat Benatar.
Right.
So that's all I had. And then my peer group, when I grew up a little older, punk rock became popular, ska for a while. Mm-hmm. So I was into that because it was the new thing.
That's the kind of music you were playing too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody was into punk rock, like the Casualties and like stuff like that. Stuff that I didn't really like. That was like more of the like not really, and all focused on musicianship. But I hadn't been exposed to like things that really were technical or anything like that.
Right, right.
But before I moved to New York and found out all about that stuff, when I was 16, I went up to New York for like the summer to spend with my dad, and I worked at the jazz studio Euphoria that I ended up working at when I moved up. So I had like a sort of a trial internship sort of a thing, and during that time, the guy who owned it gave me this CD because he knew I was into punk rock and blah 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 blah, and he was rightly so was like, this guy knows like nothing about music, you know. And I'm gonna help him out.
Yeah.
So he gave me this this CD, which is the Tony Williams Lifetime, which has Jack Bruce from Cream on it, and John McLaughlin, who played with Miles Davis and the Mahavishnu Orchestra. Just basically the people at the time that were like making loud jazz. It was like heavy, loud, distorted jazz, and they hated it at the time, and it was like. Got panned, like early 70s shit. And I'll play you some of it because it's actually amazingly good. Tony Williams, if you don't know, was like, he was like 15 or 16. He's a drummer when he was like playing with Miles. And he plays on like In a Silent Way, I think. And like some of the like my favorite Miles Davis. I think he plays on Bitches Brew. Not sure. But that Tony Williams Lifetime, Turn It Over, that album, it blew my mind because I had never heard, like it was gritty and like dirty, like punk rock, but there was like jazz chops and like crazy,
like
weird,
musicianship,
like progressive shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was progressive,
right?
And I didn't know what that was until I like discovered Yes and shit later. But without getting too much on a tangent, during that time, I still did not like anything that was considered popular, like the Beatles, Stones, Led Zeppelin, Prince. Anything like that, like any rap, like nothing like that. If anybody liked it, I didn't like it. Which is so dumb. Yeah. And when I moved to New York, I was like, I knew about Devo and some jazz and the stuff I knew about. And working at these jazz studios, seeing people play, the same guy, Dave Stokel, would be like, oh, there's this guy, Tane Watts, who's like an amazing drummer. Or like Vinny Colaiuta or fucking Victor Wooten coming in. He's like, just go in there, ask them if they need anything, and then just like stand there for a couple of minutes. And just soak it in and just fucking watch somebody play an instrument. Yeah. And that blew my mind.
That's awesome that you gave that a chance.
Yeah. And then that coupled with the other studio I worked at, we had a terabyte hard drive. Everybody just dumping CDs on it. Yeah. And I didn't have an iPod back then because they didn't exist, but I could burn a bunch of like these mix CDs of like different things. Nice. And just listening, minding this room where I set people up to rehearse and record and like watch the phone. So I was listening to music all day.
Hell yeah.
So having that exposure was like, somebody like us now having Spotify and just being able to be like, whoa, what's this? What's this like? What's this like?
Totes.
So and then I was like, one by one, found out every single thing that I thought I didn't like,
Right.
I love, and I'm like, fuck. So then many times since then, I'll go back and be like, I'm pretty sure I don't like Limp Bizkit or Korn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to their discography though.
Yeah.
Not even just like sample it. I'm gonna like listen to all of it.
Right.
And sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
sometimes I'm like, well, actually.
I think that's pretty good point of view. I like that.
But I also love music, so to
Yeah.
me, it's like, sure, let's listen to every Boston album.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
I did that with Modest Mouse. I had like
Me too.
My friend had like
Not the whole
their whole
discography.
discography, and he uploaded it onto my computer. And I literally tried to listen to it for 3 months.
You didn't like it though.
I found like 4 songs that I was like, yeah, I can get down with this, and
Yeah.
everything else was just like it's either mid or like I can't listen to that.
Yeah.
I pretty much had the same exact experience.
Same.
It's true.
A couple pretty good songs, but
Yeah.
I was just like, I really want to like this band because like I know a lot of people who like this band.
Yeah.
Like, and I want to be able to connect with them
Yeah.
on that. But man,
I
it's
do-
just not good.
I do think it's cool that a band like that can be popular as they are.
Yeah.
Like that gives me hope in a way. Not that they're bad.
They're
but
all
just
good.
like
They're great musicians.
Yeah.
thought about
I just
that with
just
the
like-
White Stripes too.
yeah, exactly. White
Like-
Stripes are like that.
Like they weren't that good. Like technically.
Yeah.
But it's good songs. Jack White is
Yeah.
a great singer.
I love it. Yeah, I love
But he wasn't
White Stripes.
also trying to be super good. He was leaning into the great.
It's true. Yeah.
Well, no, and like when you hear a song like Dashboard Confessional,
Yeah.
like when you hear a song like that, it's like, well, it's obvious you guys can do it. Like it's clearly just an aesthetic choice that you
Aesthetic
make
choice, yeah.
you make this music this way.
Gotcha.
Like you're obviously really good at what you do. Like, because that song's amazing. The songs that they
What song
have
is that
that are
again?
good.
I don't know.
Any line?
Yeah, should have been, could have been, worse than you would ever know.
Oh yeah.
The dashboard, da-da-da. Like those
Yep,
songs
yep.
are awesome. Actually, like Float On, Dashboard.
No, Dashboard Confessional is a band. I don't know what you're talking about. Either way, you make a good point. Sometimes there'll be a band that you don't really love, but they have a couple good songs.
Yeah.
You can be like, I respect that. Sometimes that's all you need.
That's a lot of.
Like with
It's
Madonna,
true.
I have that sort of level of respect for Madonna.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
When I
couple good
grew
songs.
up, I grew up getting music from LimeWire, which is pretty
Oh,
terrible.
But that's
but
all you're getting is
that's
the
yeah.
couple good songs.
And I was getting exactly.
Yeah.
I was just getting a few good songs from a lot of artists, and I was like, I like this artist. I liked 5 songs, but I still liked them. And if you think about it, people nowadays if they have playlists and
Yeah.
shit, and if they like you
One
as an
song.
artist, they might throw 1 or 2 songs on their playlist.
Yeah.
But it's their main playlist that they listen to everywhere.
Yeah.
And then it's like
But yeah, there's people like that. Like Alex is a playlist kind of guy.
Yeah.
But and then so there's the different kind of people who don't listen to the album. You know, they
Yeah.
just listen to the couple songs they know.
True.
Oh yeah, I have like one giant playlist that's like, I mean, it's not that giant, but it is like for me the creme de la crop. Like my favorite songs
I
from
see
all
what
the
you're saying.
bands.
You're talking about like when we ride in the van and he has his phone
Yeah.
plugged in and it's just shuffling it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't listen to albums really. I mean, sometimes I do, very rarely. Mostly it's with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with not doing that. I certainly have playlists.
I get stuck on a few songs and I listen to them a lot.
Yeah, I do that.
I'll do that. I'll do that with bands, where I'll be like, if I'm really into like, and it's funny when I think about it. The reason I like bands that have huge discographies is maybe because of this. Because I'll get into a band and I'll just want more of that band.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the same song or the same album, but it's like just give me more that I haven't heard in a while, and it does the thing that band does, and I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Totes.
But like Beatles, yes, Led Zeppelin, Rush, Genesis, all those bands have like at least 10 albums.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
Like, Zeppelin has like 8, but still,
Right.
they're all different.
Yeah.
I know there was a band that I was really obsessed with for a while called Minus the Bear.
Right.
And there was like, it was like 85% of what I listened to for like 3.5 years straight.
Sometimes those they go hard for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, because there was so much to their music. It was like, I was like finding things even
Oh yeah.
even today. Like their drummer, oh my god, their drummer was so good. He wasn't like really crazy technical, although he did obviously have some really good technical skill. But like he just really played super creatively, and in a way that was really Like it was creative and interesting, but also served the song.
Yeah.
And it was
That's what you want.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but then maybe
You nailed that.
a couple weeks down the road or something, you think about that song, you put it on, it's gonna be just as good as it was then,
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the cool thing about like fandom. It's like you can revisit it and reconnect with it, and it's new again,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, old songs. Listening to old Zeppelin tunes now that I listened to religiously when I was like 13. That you thought I've heard everything in the song I could, but man, listen to it 15 years later, like you're like a whole new person.
I always
So
find
you're
a-
interacting with
a
that
new
song
thing,
differently now. Like it's like holy shit.
Honestly, that's why I like tripping and listening to music too, because
Totally.
it gives you another level of that. It's like this hyper awareness of every detail.
Yeah.
And it just it like whatever they're trying to do, like the
comes
the
through
gag or whatever the trick of the like illusion of it, it all just like it just gets sold on it right away. It all comes through.
My first time tripping, I listened to Tool. That was like there was
God.
Tool Lateralis. There's that album. I just listened
That
to
sounds
the whole
wild.
thing. It was great, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
I listened to Tool tripping once.
Man, I got it.
It was my turn for Wizards.
Yeah.
But then I got to listen to Genesis then.
I
so
think
it
the
was-
only
it was
bad
all
trip
good.
I've ever had started with, quote unquote bad trip, but it was rough. But Winton was there too, and I think he put on the song Adam Hart Mother,
Oh yeah.
and what's that, like 16, 17 minutes? We couldn't even get like 3 minutes into the song,
It's gibberish.
and we had to turn it off just because it was too intense.
Yeah.
It was really intense. It was a really intense time. But yeah, otherwise I don't have much association with music and tripping, except for one other band, Porcupine Tree.
Oh,
Remember that band?
I know Porcupine Tree.
Stephen Wilson.
And all I remember is
Gavin Harrison.
their
Oh
music.
yeah, Gavin Harrison.
We listened to the whole album, and their music.
He's a Mino guy.
Yeah, mine was great. Their music perfectly reflected their song title. Like Porcupine and Tree was in their music. Like,
Yeah.
and I could see both sides popping up at different times.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't listen to music or watch TV too much when I'm tripping. I'm usually like fucking out or like by a fire.
Yeah, I
or
definitely
doing
like
something like
I definitely when you were talking about getting that energy to like that needs to go someplace.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever I feel that way, what I'll do is because usually if I'm doing it at home, I'll put on my headphones and cue up like some music
And go for a walk.
Just walk around town for like 2 hours.
I used to do that too.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Just walking around outside, and I was like, I want to listen to these albums, but I want to walk outside.
Yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah.
I can do both.
I mean, I always liked walking and listening to music. Like back when I was like young and kind of more of like a deviant. Yeah, heathen. There you go. I was
Yeah.
gonna say a deviant,
Yeah,
but
there you go.
a heathen. I would often. Like I did have some MP3 capabilities at that point in time. I would have I would have shit.
I had unlocked some technical.
Yeah,
abilities.
that was definitely an achievement, dude.
No, I know what you mean though, because that changes the game. Because then you're not carrying around 2 fucking bags of CDs.
Nah, dude. I had like a little iPod shuffle, and I would just
yeah.
like clip it to something or clip it to this, and then I would. The problem was eventually I started riding my bike around town with the headphones in, and
Oh,
I
you
probably
need to be able to hear.
Nah, well, I mean, I did fine, but I wouldn't suggest anybody do that.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I was pretty dumb. But no, that the walking with music, that's just a great feeling.
Yeah,
It's such a good.
it definitely is. Well, I feel like not to keep talking about tripping, but
Yeah, I was about to share one too.
But dude, when you are tripping and focused in on the music, like it unlocks something in the music. Like that's super woo woo, and that's super like I don't mean that to sound like I'm telling people to go do drugs and listen to our music or anything, but
Well, you can't talk about acid and not sound a little woo woo.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's part of the territory.
Hey, that is true.
And
Yeah,
unless
there's-
you've done it, you sound a little wonky.
yeah. You definitely, I've definitely found things in the music
Yeah.
that like the one thing that it does real quick is it really makes me think about it happened to me the other day where I was listening to the Beach Boys And man, I felt like I knew what it was like to live back then. Like it really connected me like a time machine to like the humans at that time.
Yeah.
And like I kind of feel a little bit like I know what it was like to live in London in the 60s because of listening to all that music. It sounds weird, but I definitely... That's an aspect.
They were channeling something?
Without even trying it. It's like the energy in the ball thing.
Totally.
Like you're putting something in there. Like you know that you're doing that. And people feel it when they hear it, that something's happening to them. But it like lasts a long time. And you can access it and you can feel how old it is sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly get that feeling just baked listening to Elvis and Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I'm like... When I'm like, there's like crazy big band jazz, and I'm sitting there, and then all of a sudden, like an Elvis song comes on. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm listening to the radio.
Yeah.
Like in this time period.
Yeah.
It's weird.
No, getting super stoned is almost the same thing. It's just like
it's close.
You have no just other distractions, and you're insanely baked and like super fucking tripping.
Yeah, I realized that. Yeah, on that note, listening to music, especially my own music, as you're making it, and then afterwards. I realized there's like a huge difference between the mindsets because like, and I have a hard time going from like an analytical standpoint where we're like working on the song, you know, and like you're thinking about every aspect of it to, all right, like now the song's out and it's time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then like I go to listen to it and I'm like struggling to get myself in that space.
You're listening to how the kick is. Or
yeah, exactly. I'm like still thinking about something stupid, like a nudge, like some nudge. And I'm like, God damn it. So
you can't shut that off.
You can't shut it off. It's an interesting thing. I try to take time away from the song.
Absolutely.
Yet I still want to listen to it though. I have a desire to listen to it. It's a funny place to be. But then like even still like if you make music, it changes the way that you listen to music. And like people that don't make music kind of hear like a wall of sound and they hear the song all at once, which sounds kind of weird to say. And then people that play music can usually separate each instrument. Yeah. And focus in on each one.
That's such a point.
And that might sound really simple.
Some people don't.
But some people don't listen to music like that.
Yeah.
And I know that like you're paying attention to the drums when you hear a track.
Yes.
There's no way you're not going to at least pay some mind to it.
It's literally what grabs my attention.
Yeah.
Like if the drums don't in some way, I'm not saying it's that the person's got to like opening of Wax Simulcuria fucking crazy like shit or anything, but it like if there's something interesting about your drums, like it'll catch my interest.
Yeah, even if it's not interesting, you'll notice, oh wow, that's really not interesting.
Oh yes, that is something I also notice very starkly. Just like, oh, I would never play that.
Yeah, I forget how that related to my.
No, the coolest thing is there was a time in music where you could be like the first person to do a beat. Or like
that's crazy.
Or like what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I hate to have it keep coming back to the Beatles, but Ringo though, that was the one thing that cool. He would do like you can do beats of his and know that it's a Ringo beat, And like Bonham was one of those guys where you can play a fill. I mean Neil Peart. You play a fill, who that like the way they play is a style.
Yeah.
Like to themselves.
He was one of the first drummers that I ever... Not you, Alex. I'm thinking about Neil Peart.
Just gestured out.
No,
for all things right.
He was one of the first drum tones that I was able to recognize young.
Yeah.
His fills.
He was one of the first fills that I would sing along with. You know what I mean? Like, anticipate. Like,
other than, like, what's the Phil Collins...
In the Air Tonight.
Yeah, other than that one.
Which, dude, how cool is that? Like, think about that. Like you popularized like drum, like Queen did that too with the.
Shoot, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a rhythm being so strong that it's like.
And then a riff can be like that almost. Like that makes me think of Seven Nation Army.
Yeah.
Like that song it's gone. Like Jack White talks about this. It went beyond just, bands covering it. It's like bands in like it's like a sports anthem.
Yeah.
Now. And like soccer play, you know what I mean? Like football uses that. It's like, and that's like the biggest sport in the world or whatever. Yeah. It's so far beyond him, where it's just like, kind of like we were talking about before. Like he doesn't even feel like he's connected to the song as much because it's grown. It's taken a life of its own. You know?
Isn't that what you want though?
Right.
Like as an artist, you want to give birth to this thing that thrives.
Yeah.
You know, you want your sonic children to thrive.
Yeah, you do. You want to be heard.
Live a good life, and be experienced by humanity.
children.
It's true. Yeah, it's a weird place to be.
I thought of sonic orphans as a thing.
Orphans.
Sonic orphans, because you just debate, you finish them and then you.
No, I was just thinking of Sonic Innocence.
Anyway.
But dude, being able to give up your baby, like the music you create.
Yeah.
And it's also a weird place to be, like, because you want people to hear it and like it, but you want to make music that you like.
Yeah.
First and foremost, like, you have to enjoy it. I think that's an interesting predicament as an artist.
I think
it's not a predicament, but it's something to think about.
It is, because business is involved.
Right, because you're not just.
Concern. But I think really it's got to be the
art first.
You make the music that you want to hear,
and then
like you have the standards. Are you?
Yeah.
And then, like I was listening to, I forget who it was. They were talking about comedians, and Bill Burr was saying to, I forget who it was, maybe Burr Kreischer or somebody, but they were saying to an up and coming comedian like, oh, you're killing. Oh, I forget who it was, but he's like, you're killing it. You're killing it to the void. Like, there's maybe 12 people there, but those 12 people are losing their minds at how good you are.
Right.
You just got to keep killing it to the void, and then eventually the void fills up. Like, your audience finds you.
That's a great analogy.
Don't try to be anybody else. Just try to be the most you can be.
Yeah.
And your audience will find you. And if you just keep killing it to the void and be prepared to
be a badass,
to kill it to the void and not be weakened by the void.
Yeah.
Then you will win.
Yeah, I like Dave Grohl. He says that you have to be badass, and you just got to go out there and do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? you got to go out there and do it and be badass.
Yeah,
it has to be good though.
Yeah,
yeah. I think that's the thing. You can't just go out there and do it. Like, your stuff has to be good.
I wouldn't want to go out and be not good.
Right.
Yeah. I would hate that.
Like, you gotta have, like, if people aren't getting excited about it, you should be wondering why.
But if we have high standards and we think it's good, and we are killing it to the void, so to speak, where we do have a small amount of people super into it.
Yeah.
Then it's just a matter of persistence.
That's what matters. Right. Yeah. If you're killing it to the void, which is killing it to a small amount of people.
Yeah.
Then it's about leaving those. We've been doing that for so long.
No, I was gonna say
like the band. That's the antithesis.
That's so weird because you don't
been
know what the public. Because you think we talk about these bands that have lodged their ways into the psyche, that are in movies and like find their way into everything.
And the foot in the door thing.
Yeah, like how do you you don't know. It's still a gamble. You could be the best band in the world and still not have the stars line up for you.
Yes.
So it's like, it's about...
It is like that.
What are you doing it for? Because if you are doing it for the fame and money, then you might as well compromise that art to be as much like everyone else as possible.
Right.
But otherwise, I think you certainly keep it in mind, but there's a way to do it where it's still the craft of songwriting. You know?
Definitely.
There's a line to ride.
Yeah.
There's a line to ride there.
We could still craft a song that would be popular, that wouldn't compromise the way we would do it. You know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I believe too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my exact belief.
Well, and on the vein of what you were saying with like killing it to the void, I remember the very beginning I would always say, it's not about how many people you impress, it's about how much you impress one person.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, like each person, if you impress one person a lot, that's a lot better than mildly impressing 100 people.
Yeah, we played that Chameleon show back when the original 4-piece. We played a Chameleon show to like literally 600 people. And then the very next day, we played in York.
To one person.
To one person in a garage. And
who was our friend?
He was our friend.
Who was our friend?
And it was his birthday. And we fucking slayed it. It was so fun.
Yeah, it was
fun. We took our shirts off.
Well, sometimes that's what happens, you just, it doesn't matter who's there. You don't know who's there. It doesn't matter. You just rock out.
But also, like,
3 people or 3,000.
It's in your best interest to do it. You just drove 40 minutes and lugged all the equipment. Why are you not going to enjoy this moment?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I realize every time we set up to play. Like, yeah, you're tired, but once I'm playing for 30 seconds, I'm not really that tired anymore.
There's a deeper connection to why than just like a dream or like a ego drive.
Yeah, and you know what? It's worth inspecting, I think. That's worth like seeing through to really like kind of understand yourself and see why you're going for what you're doing.
Well, especially
You know?
if you look at the trajectory of your life and others' lives, big events, the way things kind of steer, there's like a kind of, especially, I mean, for us, or for my musical journey, anytime I wasn't focusing on music, it was like not a great time in my life, you know? Every time that I've like submitted to like the music, everything just like wants that to happen.
Yeah.
So I feel
Momentum
like there's like that, like all that is undeniable, and then it's like, but it's not happening as fast as I want.
Yeah.
What?
Yep.
So you just marry that.
Yeah, it's a reality.
And constantly like count your blessings, sort of a thing.
Yep. It's so true.
Because I'd rather be together for 10 more years and make 10 more albums that are amazing albums that no one hears than make one more album, get super big and break up.
Me too. All day.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The longevity of it is one of the main priorities.
Well, we were talking about that the other week. Like, what is the thing you really want is to be able to make your way playing music, you know.
For sure.
That's like not that big of a goal.
Yeah.
Like that's doable. That you don't have to win a Grammy for that. You can just sell a handful of records.
Yeah, you really should have those goals, like all the, what's the word, staggered throughout the timeline, because like essentially being in a band for 10 years does help you manage your expectations in a way, because people are feeding you bullshit
All the time.
all the time. Yeah, so I've gotten my hopes up like a lot in the beginning, maybe in like the first couple years, and then realized that
Same.
was not the point, and was just kind of what's the word, it's not helpful way of thinking. So you just reframe it, kind of like to kill it to the void thing, almost in all aspects. But you got to shoot for the stars, yet be realistic.
It's like like faith to me.
Hope for the
It's
best.
like,
It is faith.
If you have faith, and this is kind of the way like God's work in D&D.
There we go.
Or like,
I was waiting. Where has that been? It's been like 2 podcasts and there's D&D.
But like they gain their power through belief, right?
Yeah.
So we have this cult of Medusa that we're trying to gain power to,
Right.
and like it can't be about us or like anything. Like we have to have faith in it. But our faith and devotion breeds faith and devotion, which gives it power, which breeds its influence over the world.
Absolutely.
And like if you think about like thought deities or like these things that like the Beatles or anything that is canon to like people just say are like this is good or like like part of the thing.
Yeah, like conventionally good.
Yeah, that comes
In
from
culture.
like that faith in it. It's like there's stock in it where people believe that.
Right.
So we have to be the first ones to believe that we're
Right.
going to be wildly successful.
Yeah.
For anybody else to believe it.
That's I love that. That's a great way to say it,
Yeah.
dude. Absolutely.
So we can't dictate the pace or the manner, but we can be pretty faithful that if we stick to our guns, we'll get where we need to go.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all it is.
That is the way.
You gotta have your bros.
Yeah, you
And
do.
It's been about an hour.
Has it?
It's been about an hour in the
That was
van.
a lovely note to end on.
Yeah, you gotta have your bros. I love
Yeah.
you, bros.
Yep,
Yeah, I
love
love
you
you
too,
guys.
I love doing this pod with you.
And we love you guys.
Yeah.
We honestly do, though.
We got back in the room recently and it was fucking real tasty.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
First time
got
back.
Some new music coming, some shows happening in the months to come. But you can see us every week here on Wednesdays on the Van Brain.
Van Brain.
Fan brain.
Van Brain!
Van brain.
I got a piss, dude.
I got a van
It was
brain.
an hour and 3 minutes and we got all of it.
Nice.